talking negative about my party. Cause I'm damn strong. We're damn strong. Go away with your trickery, your money and your bribery. Cause I'm damn strong. We're damn strong. Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. Come election day and see who get the last laugh. When the party's stalwart, show you the real palm from we heart. Voting PAM, voting PAM. That's for the country then and now. Voting PAM, voting PAM. No way you can beat us, no how.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the movement. This perhaps is our final edition. You know what they said, the last and the best. When we were children, we said the last and the best. So we are happy that you could join us. We ourselves are happy. We have given up our beach lime and everything else that people do on a holiday weekend to come here because I guess we consider ourselves loyals, right? Are we?
Indeed,
Yes, we are.
indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Okay. Okay, thank you. You all finally have woken up.
yes. We've been up.
So I want to welcome everyone to this, very likely the last edition of the movement. And in fact, it is the 10th edition. We started sometime in May. We went through the whole of June, the whole of July, and now we're here on the first Tuesday in August for the last edition of the movement. Of course, if you are new and happen to chance upon this program for the very first time, we want to let you know that this program is sponsored by the People's Action Movement, one of the main parties that is contesting the general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis, which are due on Friday this week, August 5th. And so this platform is being used to share ideas, share the vision, share the programs of the People's Action Movement. Of course, the manifesto was launched a week ago, today exactly, a week ago, last Tuesday. And so everybody now has access to what those plans and programs are. And we hope that you are now perusing them and perhaps making up your minds based on all of the promises that have been chronicled in the manifesto so that you can make your choice, the right choice on polling day, August 5th. I have three lovely, I don't know, do you call men lovely? I'm not sure, but
He'll accept
It
it.
depends on if they are lovely.
okay.
He'll accept it.
I have three lovely young people here with me today, and they are starting with the young lady immediately in front of me.
My name is Deandra Carey. Everyone calls me Didi.
Okay, going down on her left.
And my name is Tawana Wigley. Everyone calls me Tawana.
And my name is Azad Gums, Deputy Chairman of the People's Action Movement.
Everybody calls you what?
Azad.
I was the same with the twin. And my name is Laverne Keynes. Everybody calls me, well, it depends. Lala.
Lav.
Lav. But those are people who are really nice and dear to me. If you're a stranger, you'll probably call me something that is a little bit more formal. Anyway, we are so excited to be here this morning. We are on the home stretch to elections. The two young ladies who earlier introduced themselves came to vote for JP2, John L. Powell. I think they came to share their strong testimonials of who John L. is, who his programs would likely benefit. Hopefully people who are as young as them or perhaps older or younger. And Azad is the deputy political...
Well, Deputy Chair of the
Deputy
People's
Chair
Action
of
Movement.
the People's Action Movement.
I'm also here to speak about JP2 and the plans that he has for his constituency.
Okay.
The plans that, the things he has done over the last 1 year,
And
11 months.
Okay. Well, you all have that down pack, eh? And then you thought for a moment you were going to say the last 100 years, though.
I know a lot of people feel as though he has been in Parliament and their representative for the past 100 years, but in fact he has only been there less than 2 years.
A year and 11 months, as you said, to be exact.
A year
1
and
year,
11
11 months.
Yeah. So, but let me, before we delve into that, I want to ask as young people, because young people seem to be shying away from politics. Everybody seems to be so afraid. Of course, the big V word, victimization. And when you're young and you have your career ahead of you, people don't want to chance it. People are so afraid of politics in St. Kitts. And perhaps it is a Caribbean thing because a former governor once presented to my Rotary Club, and he said, because we are mortgage society, everybody has a mortgage. People just live to pay their mortgage and safeguard their jobs. And so I want to say bravo to you, well, all three of you, as I kind of young, as young people, to want to step forward and be the face of a party, if you will. So starting with you, Didi. And Didi, I have to tell you, how brave and bold you are on that platform. I stay in the background and I say, you know what, as bold as I think I am, I couldn't know that. Because when you put your face in front of your enemies, I mean, you do all sorts of things. Congratulations to you. So tell me quickly, what inspired you as a young person, as a young female for that matter, to get so intimately involved in politics?
Well, a lot of times as young people, we shy away and we stay on the sideline, and then we argue and, as we say, we abuse. These programs don't benefit us. This doesn't benefit us. This isn't working. But when the table was there, did you come to the table? Now, here I am at the table, and people can tell you I advocate for young people. I advocate for different things that I am passionate about. And now, if I am here at the table and I am advocating and then they don't do, then I can abuse them and I can say, well, I was at the table and I agitated for this and it didn't happen. But let it not be a case where I didn't go to the table, I didn't take my seat, I didn't agitate, I didn't advocate, and but I can't just shy away and say, oh, politics, politicians lie and no.
All of them is the same.
All of them is the same. No. And then as far as being afraid of victimization, I think that we always come around and we remember that we are Christian people only when it benefits us. If I am saying God, it's God all the time, there's nothing that can be done. I must stand up for what it is I believe in. I must stand up for what it is I am passionate in, come what may. And so, no, I am not afraid of being victimized. I mean, what's the worst you're going to do? Send me to the furthest part from where I live to teach? I mean, I still have to teach. It's still me impacting the lives of the nation's children. I'm still going to do that. So I'm not afraid of victimization. God will provide each and every time.
Can the church say amen?
Amen.
And Tawana, what say you? What got you into politics and this actively as a young person?
Well, politics has always been in my DNA. As a child, I've always attended meetings with my mother, listened, even when we had the little jingles and songs, would listen to that, take the pencils and all of this to school. As I became a bit older, I would have shied away a bit, just like you guys would have mentioned, when you start to say, oh, and you start trying to put all the politicians in a box. And then as I got a bit older, probably like 20s, I said, you know what?
Oh, you have more than 20?
I said, you know what, I really need to listen to see what's going on, because this is affecting my future. This is going to affect everyone's future. And when I listened, and the candidate, John L. Powell, and I saw that he had great plans. I saw that he was, capable and willing. I said, I need to get behind this. I need to ensure that our future remains bright, and I know that is why, for sure, I am here today.
Thank you. Amen too. And Azad, since you're kind of bordering young and old.
Well, I have always had a passion for nation building. I started as a member of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association at the age of 14, doing debates, mock parliamentary sit-ins in the National House of Assembly, community projects. I served as president of the organization in 2015 to 2017, and so I would have been one who would have continued some of the things that I experienced to others who then came as members. And then at the age of 30, you could no longer be a member of the youth group, and so I decided that I need to continue, and it was the time. I looked at both parties, the Labour Party, the People's Action Movement, and then I made a decision based on what both parties would have been offering, both on the record of each party. And so I believe that the People's Action Movement is the best choice for any person here in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. And that's why I encourage persons to vote for the People's Action Movement candidate in each constituency, because I believe that the People's Action Movement and the Concerned Citizens Movement represent the best hope for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Amen again. Thank you for that exposition, all three of you. So now that it's out of the way, because people are watching and might say, what is some people are doing in politics? So you basically come to share about some of the plans and programs that John L. Powell, the candidate for constituency number 2, would be representing and espousing this time around. We're going to delve right into all of them, but I want each of you to tell me which, and even if it's the same thing, which of the plans that he's shared so far, because I've seen a 20-point plan, which of them excites you the most?
The one that excites me the most would be, we have a lot of abandoned buildings in central Bastille. And John would have come around and he would have scoped out and continued walking his constituency. And he saw that that problem is there. And we have, while Central Bastille does have a wide population for voting, we don't have, the landscape. So many persons want to be homeowners, and he was able to look at that and turn it into a brilliant idea and put it on his 20-point plan. So now we're going to have a project running where persons who have abandoned their homes, we're going to be reaching out to them, contacting them, and trying to see what's going on with that home, and then, having it renovated or completely, knocked down. So that would cover home ownership for young persons in the community, and it also covers safety, because a lot of times abandoned homes, it breeds not only infestation, but it also breeds, crime, because people are able to linger in those buildings. So I think that project or that plan per se is something that really gets me excited when I look at that 20-point plan.
And Deandra?
Well, as a teacher, I like that as well. But as a teacher, the upgrade to the Irish Town Primary School and also the MIS Hall, the renovation of the MIS Hall, I think that sometimes when people think about Irish Town or they think about the McKnight area, they don't consider that there are diamonds there. I have a very intimate relationship with the Irish Town Primary School, and the children really are our future. And I think that, we need to move away from, it's a ghetto school, and that's
Is
the
that
ghetto.
the school where you teach?
I don't. My mother is the principal there.
Oh, okay.
And so I frequent there a lot. I sponsor children there, whether it's academics, athletics, that kind of thing. And so I'm very passionate about them receiving the necessary upgrades. So I'm excited about that. And then also the MIS Hall, where I'm ready to volunteer once the renovation is complete with the after-school classes and what have you. So I'm really excited about those two. And then I think that when that happens, people can really see, the children that Irish Town and McKnight produce.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Brilliant. And Azad, which of those 20-point plans excite you?
Well, I must say, having looked at the plan, I think looking at the Bastille, John L. Powell has asked or has mentioned numerous times his plans to do a facelift to Bastille. I think that it sounds simple, but I think that it is very impactful. The reason why I say it's impactful is because could you imagine the number of jobs created as a result of that project? You look at jobs in construction, because when these buildings are, once they are agreed to and what's not, they're taken down, you need someone to reconstruct those homes. And so you see opportunities in jobs being available. Construction, perhaps cleaning, landscaping, all of those jobs, surveying. And so I think that even though that sounds very simple, it goes a long way. And it goes in line with the philosophy of the People's Action Movement. A hand up rather than a hand out. Empowering people, making them their own business owners and the leaders of their own finances. And that is what we at the People's Action Movement is all about. And so that plan of John L. Powell, to me, is one that stands out, because it will give Bastille that facelift that it needs and create jobs for the ordinary citizens here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Okay, so we heard the ability for those projects to create jobs. We heard the MIS Hall development and Irisham School, and the clearing of abandoned lots in the Macknight area in general.
Another thing that he plans to do is an honors program. And I think that that is significant because many times there are persons within the community who contribute to the community and it goes unnoticed. So when he speaks about his plan, the honors program, he's speaking about recognizing persons in his community who have built his community, and that it would be done by the renaming of certain areas, streets, facilities, and he also speaks about an annual awards dinner. So persons can have a place where they come, be appreciated.
A sense of pride.
A sense of pride. Build that area. And so I think that too is impactful. And I think that persons need to look at what the candidates are offering. We have a candidate that is offering job creation, family togetherness. And I think that the People's Action Movement candidate, Jonelle Powell, is the best choice of the three to lead that community, to lead Central Bastia.
Okay. You're a lawyer, so you're making the case. And let's say that the electorate is the jury.
Yes.
How do you think they would rule on this one?
Well, in 2020, the electorate elected Jonelle Powell by over 200 votes. We recognize that there is now an additional player in the game. And we are hoping and we are asking the electorate to re-elect Jonelle Powell, considering the things that he has done in his short stint. In less than 2 years, we have to contextualize things. 2020, we had the pandemic. We're just recovering out of it in 2022, and now we have a general elections. That is a snap election. 3 years premature. And you have looked at what Jonelle Powell has accomplished in just 1 year and 11 months. You talk about sports, you talk about cricket, you talk about the investment that he brought to St. Kitts and Nevis on the CPL, job creation again. I think it was $25 million?
It was $25 million that would have come in from revenue just from CPL alone. We have to also look at the fact that while we were on lockdown, Jonelle was able to, be innovative, and we had the virtual carnival. We had the hybrid situation from schools. Many of the other islands would have followed our plan that Jonelle would have laid out. Mind you, this is a man who would have just gone in, trying to find his way around, and he's able to implement and do. I think that's very impactful for such a young candidate. I think he was the youngest at the time, if not still, right? And Jonelle has made great waves, in my opinion, because like he mentioned the CPL, that was, jobs. St. Kitts and Nevis was at a standstill. Nothing at all was happening. So we have to remember that. I know people make light of this, but it's something to really think about.
And when we think about the carnival, as Tawana has said, we had carnival 2 years during the pandemic. And so I think that is significant, and I think that the electorate would consider these things. There are some persons who want to downplay what he has accomplished, but I think that any person who looks at what Jonelle Powell has done over the short year, 11 months, would agree with me that he deserves a re-election.
He deserves a full term.
A full term.
A full 5 years.
So he can create everything that he hopes to implement within the constituency. He has a 20-point plan.
Who else has a 20-point plan?
A 20-point plan for his constituency.
No one else can say they have a 20-point plan because...
But the 20-point plan also, it speaks to every sector. It cuts across every sector of the society, and there's a plan in there for someone. It's not just dedicated to persons who are eligible to vote. You have plans in there for the elderly. You have plans in there for the young adults, persons like myself. You have plans in there for persons who maybe work private sector, plans in there for civil servants. There are plans for persons who don't want to work for anybody but themselves as well. So it's a well thought through, a well planned 20-point plan is not just something that, he just threw together and flung the answer, vote for me, and this is what you'll get. It's well thought through, and it's something that is sustainable. And what I find we're not seeing a lot of is sustainable plans. And when I say sustainable, it's good for now. It will be good 5 years later. It will be good 10 years later. And that's one of the things that has drawn me to the People's Action Movement, and is one of the reasons why I'm vocal and very, very, very passionate about my defense of John L. Powell. He's a forward thinker, and the plans that he put forward are sustainable, and we have to look at sustainability in these times.
Thank you. So we've been at this for 20 minutes now. So we're going to take a break. I think we have a number of some of those same plans that were video, but we're going to hear the audio when we take the break, just that it could bring home the point a little bit more succinctly of some of the plans that John L. Powell has for constituency number 2. So we'll take a break and we'll come right back after this.
Today begins the new future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we look to PAM and CCM to restore stability and continuity of the programs of good governance and prosperity for all. Today, we turn to new leadership and away from a path of destruction and control by one family. From today, we put country above self. Today, we turn to PAM and CCM, who represent the best hope for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Vote PAM and CCM under the trusted leadership of the Honorable Sean Richards.
Together we stand, brothers. Together we...
I'm here at Lower Market Street, standing in front of what remains of the old MIS Hall. I want to redevelop this site when I am re-elected as the parliamentary representative for constituency number 2. We are going to bring back the good times that once flowed from this site. We're going to redevelop this MIS Hall into a modern-day community center where persons can have meetings, have classes, and have a number of different types of social events. This will be the site of a new era for social development and interaction here in Central Bastia.
I would go if I lost any of my pets.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to The Movement. We're here, and I just got a note saying that some of the mics for some of our guests is low, so I don't know if maybe the operator on the board could make adjustment to that. But we're here this morning on The Movement. I forgot to say earlier on that it is really a split edition, so my good young people are going to be until 11 o'clock, and then at 11 o'clock, the candidates for constituencies number 6 and 7 come in to talk about how it is going and what they see on the home stretch. So we started to talk about John L. Powell. In fact, this panel of young people this morning are really here to share and maybe, share their own testimonial about John L. Powell and what he has been doing and the impact he has made on constituency number 2. And so we were delving into the 20-point plan, and I asked them first to share with me what is their favorite of this plan. And now maybe they could go into some more, into the meat of some of the other plans, so that those people who are listening, perhaps even constituents of number 2, who are not fully familiar with the ins and outs of these plans, they can get a better idea of what these are. So who wants to share some more on this 20-point plan?
Okay, so I can speak to the fact that John L. is also looking to have what we call an after-school program that helps children with their homework.
Reignite.
Say that again? Okay. Go ahead, Tawana.
Yes. So John L. is looking to have an after-school program for children, and not just a regular after-school program. He's also looking to have additional support for the Spanish-speaking children, because he doesn't want them to get lost behind, right? That's something that I think is very important. Education is very, very important, giving everyone a chance, putting us all on the same playing field, a level playing field. That is something that I am happy that he spoke to in his 20-point plan. I also like the fact that he has addressed the family pack, because he would have lobbied for $300,000 before to get the family pack fully renovated, because the park was there before, but there were some issues due to a rush when an election was coming up, and the past representative who Jonah would have beat would have tried to rush that, and then there was some issues with the earth and the compounding and all of that, and he was able to lobby for that for the community. And I think, like I said, that speaks to a man who not only talks, he implements, he ensures it is done, and then we have great results. He also wants to look at, the renovations for the Gardens playing field. He would have done some of that before, but I know he wants to, double down on it, touch base on that again. And Didi, I'll let you say some.
The Pathway to Entrepreneurship program, it's, I don't want to say ridiculous, but for lack of a better word, for us to believe that the civil service can accommodate everyone in terms of providing jobs. It's impossible. The private sector helps out a bit, but for the way that the population is a very young population. We have a very young population and everybody wants to work. And so this pathway to entrepreneurship, the training and developing of not only soft skills, because a lot of the times when we think about jobs, we only think about proficiencies in what would make the job work. But you also need the soft skills. How do you answer the telephone? How do you deal with people? That kind of thing. And so the Pathway to Entrepreneurship program will train and develop the soft skills and also the skills that employees are looking for in terms of the actual doing the job. And then on the wider scale of the party, the Dream Fund is available. So once you go through this whole pathway to entrepreneurship, you get the training necessary, you bring your idea forward, you can access the Dream Fund to start up your business. So I think that's something that's really good, because as a teacher, I see a lot of children who come in and they are not necessarily inclined with the traditional academics, but they can build things, they can make things, and if we train them up and we give them access to these funds, they can go ahead and make their mark and nation build in their own way. So I really like the Pathway to Entrepreneurship program as well.
And is this program would be limited to his constituents alone, as far as
he did it on a smaller scale prior. So I think that once we get it going in constituency too, there's no reason why we won't share it with the rest of the country, because it's one country, one movement, one people.
Amen.
I agree. And Azad, are there any other programs that are on the 20-point plan that you think you want to develop some more?
Well, Janelle Powell also speaks about the boardwalk across the Newtown Bay Road, and the construction of that would include commercial market space or place for local entrepreneurs and for persons who are interested in exercise and recreational activities. And I think that idea, again, if you look at what he's geared towards job creation. And in the 20-point plan, it's about upliftment of the people and creating opportunities for employment for them. And I think that is significant, because at the end of the day is to ensure that persons can support themselves, because as Didi indicated, yes, there is the government sector, but the government can only employ so many people without it being saturated. And so when you have a vibrant private sector, you really have the economy on a buzz. And that is what the People's Action Movement and their candidates, when you look at the plans of the People's Action Movement, in addition to those by Janelle Powell, it's all about empowerment. And I keep saying this to persons as I meet them. Empowerment of a nation, because that is significant. It's not about just handout. Yes, there are persons who need social programs and assistance. But what about those who trying not to be dependent on those? Are you saying that persons should always be dependent on social assistance? No way for them to improve their circumstance? And this is what the People's Action Movement is trying to do, to bring you up the social ladder, bring you up the economic ladder, so you can earn and you can say, well, I am independent and I can now provide for my family. I can now give greater benefit to St. Kitts and Nevis. Empowerment.
Yes.
Well, I think Jonelle always says it best on his platform. Give a man a fish, he will come back. He will be looking to you for more fish. He will not be, independent. He'll be dependent on you. But teach him how to fish, and he can go out and support himself, his family, and the community. And that is something that we at the People's Action Movement, we stress on. We want everyone to be capable of handling themselves, their family, and the community. We are all community builders. We are all responsible for our community, our families, and ourselves. And you don't just want people to feel like they are indebted to you or they always have to come to you for something. We have to ensure people feel independent. They feel like, they are contributing. That is a major aspect.
Looking into that Broadgate, Laverne, Tawana, and Diddy, when you look at being dependent on an individual or being dependent on a party, then that party controls you. You are no longer independent to voice your concerns.
No, you have to go with whatever they say. Even if you feel like they are wrong or immoral or unethical, you must go with it, because then how are you going to eat after? What will become of your job? And that's why I always encourage even my students, you do for you. And if you do for you, then you'll be independent. I strive to create independent thinkers, movers, shakers, even when it comes to the rules, so that when they get out into society, they don't fall into that where they're always looking for help. I'm not saying that there aren't persons who genuinely need welfare, need assistance, but the level that we are seeing it now, that where people are comfortable and they're actually looking for this, and the rhetoric and the narrative that's here is vote this way or else you lose this. If you are an independent thinker, if you are a mover and a shaker, it can't sway you, and that shouldn't be the reason that you use your democratic right because you are afraid to lose. No,
it's almost like you're being held hostage or blackmailed. Like, if I don't do this, I'm gonna lose this. Like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be.
And that is what they fear, because if you are independent and you say, well, wrong is wrong, I don't think that this is the right way, and you're independent, you're able to feed yourself, you're able to provide for yourself, then they don't have you. They don't have that control over you. And that is what the People's Action Movement is pushing, for you to be independent. So regardless whether or not you support us, we want to make sure that you are independent, and we want to create the tools for you to become independent. So at the end of the day, you could choose us or not, but at the end of the day, you are better for it. And you're able to survive. Of course, social assistance is there and it's necessary. But at the end of the day, we have to create a society where persons can become entrepreneur and persons can invest in themselves, their families, their livelihoods.
Basically, the resources are available to you. And
opportunities.
Yes, opportunities are available to you.
I'm hearing something that I think our society needs to hear. But I think there also needs to be an emphasis on the fact that when you are an entrepreneur, and hopefully, you contribute to Social Security, because even as entrepreneurs, it is always strongly stressed that people should still contribute to Social Security. We saw what happened during COVID. Those persons who were working for themselves and not necessarily contributing did not really benefit until in the end when something was arranged for them. And so the more people we can have employed, it will be the more contribution to Social Security. And let's not forget something that was also discussed early on in an early edition of this program, that people who are not employed full-time really can't attract loans and mortgages, because you can't go into a lending institution and say, I'm on the PEP or I'm on PAP. I mean, that can go away anytime. That is not something that is sustainable. And so you really want to remove that mindset. And I am glad that as young people, you are the ones who are emphasizing it. And it brings me to the other question. What are your peers, what are your contemporaries saying about this very issue? Because I don't know. I think it is being allowed to seep into our society very slowly, and I fear for what would be the likely fallout in the next 10, 15 years. What is the discussion amongst your contemporaries about this?
I would say too that there is a small fraction in the society that believes in just being able to get money without working for it. But I believe that the greater percentage of young people, having gone through the rigors of training, whether it is in school or what's not, understand what is being taught, understand what we are pushing in terms of empowerment and social responsibility, corporate responsibility, being able to put in so you could get out. You understand? And as you have rightfully said, when you're on these programs, they're not recognized, so to speak, by these institutions, financial institutions, so you could create, you say you could get a loan, so you could better yourself. So you understand, you're still in a cycle.
Yeah.
A perpetual
You're marking
cycle.
time, really.
Yeah, going round and going round, but you're getting nowhere. And this is what the People's Action Movement is trying to do. Pull you out of that cycle and to empower you and create opportunities so you too can thrive.
Okay. We're going to take a break now, and when we come back, I want each of you to tell me about Jonel the man, Jonel the politician. I know one of you hinted early on that he's now up against two other candidates. How does he stack up against these other two candidates? Because effectively, electoral politics is about is competition, and it's about who presents themselves as well as their plans and policies most effectively. So I want you to give thought to that after we take this break. You're listening to The Movement, and this is WINN FM.
My name is Jonel Powell, and I'm the current parliamentary representative for Central Bastia and the PAM candidate for this constituency in the upcoming general elections. I'm here on the Irish Town Bay Road, and I intend to continue my plan to redevelop this particular area. That redevelopment includes a boardwalk along the Irish Town Bay Road, from the bus terminal right up to the cenotaph. The redevelopment plan includes reclamation of land, which will add to this whole development. We want to create a fishing village where you can come and buy fish, where you can come and have a good time. Barbados has the oysters, well, St. Kitts will have its Irish Town Bay Road. The redevelopment will include shops and commercial activity and opportunities for persons here in Central Bastia and further afield when we reclaim this land. That development will be strictly for locals. We want to empower local people. And this boardwalk will go right up to the cenotaph, where we'll culminate it with a development by the beach just up the road. We want to create commercial activity and opportunities for our people, because that is how we empower people. We don't want to give them fish. We want to teach them how to fish. I'm here at the New Road Family Park, which in principle was a very good idea, but it was rushed to be completed in time for the 2015 general elections. This meant that the necessary compacting and earthwork was never done properly. As a parliamentary representative for constituency number 2, I lobbied to ensure that this problem was rectified. And as a result of my lobbying and fighting for the people of New Road and Central Bastia and the country on a whole, I was able to work with the government of the Republic of China and Taiwan to work with us. We work with the government of St. Kitts and Nevis to rectify the issues here. And so, some $800,000 has been allocated to the renovations of the New Road Family Park. The work has already begun. As you can see, they've already removed all of the damaged equipment. They're rectifying the issues with the earthwork, and very soon we will have a new family park, not just for the people of New Road, but for the people of St. Kitts and Nevis to enjoy. That is what you call real representation.
the movement, we are continuing the conversation this morning. As we said, the first half of this edition of the movement has been dedicated to the young people who are sharing about their candidate in constituency number 2, John L. Powell. The question on the table before we took the break a moment ago was, who is John L., the candidate? Who is John L., the man? I mean, how have you seen him? How has he impacted you? Who is this John L. Powell that you have come to tell people, and especially people who are your peers, to vote for on Friday, the 5th of August in the general elections? Tawana, you want to give it a go?
Sure. You know, John L. is a man for the people. I always say this, and I continue to say this. John L. has been in for 1 year and 11 months. And when you look at what he has done, he's been very innovative, like we mentioned with CPL, like we mentioned with education, and even with Carnival, like I mentioned. He's resilient. John L. would have ran in 2015, and he was not successful at that time, but he came back, and he came back even harder. He had to go through a whole pandemic. This was something like no other for him, because this would have been his first time inside. He's a visionary. We had 19 students plus some what's those persons called who went with them? 19 plus persons would have gone with him to Dubai. He took those children there with him. What other minister could say they have done something like that? What other minister have stepped out and said, I want to do this for the children. The children must be able to have a piece of this pie. They must be versed in culture. They must be, taken around the world. That's something that I think was exemplary, right? Mm-hmm. No one else has ever thought of that. John L. is a man who, I would say, he's very productive. In a year and 11 months, look at all the things that we have listed out. He had a full portfolio. Let us not forget, education is one of the biggest portfolios. Many persons take education to be something, small and something light, but that was one of the biggest portfolios. And we were able to entrust our children and, your grandchildren, your nieces and nephews with him, and know that they were secure with him. Like, I just think that he's someone that once you give him a task, he's going to get it done. And he's not just going to tell you, he's not going to tell you a lie. If he can get it done, he's going to get it done. And if he can't get it done how you want it to be done, he's going to let you know, and he's going to come up with a different way. And that is what speaks to John L. And that is what people are impressed with. That is what everyone in this room is impressed with. And that is why we're here today to speak on his behalf.
And Didi?
One of the things that Tawana just mentioned is when he ran the first time, he was unsuccessful. And even though he was unsuccessful, he didn't just fade to black. He was still there. He promises that he would have made, for example, modernizing homes within Irish Town and Fort Thomas Road. Those persons who may not have had running water, he was able to do that. As an ambassador, he was still in the constituency. John L. is one of us. He is of McKnight. He is of Central Bastia. So he's not just someone who is just now coming around and saying, hey, elect me. He has lived the lives that we are living. He has walked the alleys, the same roads. He has hung out on the same streets that we reside on. And that resilience is what he took when he was elected in 2020. It was that resilience that guided him through the pandemic to make the marks that he was able to do with the sugar mass, with the CPL, helping to create jobs for persons. Now, my thing is, if that is what he is able to do under the conditions that we now know, and also under the pandemic, what more will he do with a supportive prime minister, a supportive team, and a full 5-year term? We need to re-elect him and give him the opportunity to demonstrate that resilience, to demonstrate that loyalty, that dependability. That is what I have seen of him behind closed doors. I am not just coming and supporting someone and paying lip service because it sounds good. I have seen him in adversity. I have seen him in the good times, and I know that when adverse conditions come to the constituency, he can be counted on to stand up and to show out out, not just for himself or for glory, but for the common man, the small person that's right now walking down on Irish Town because the mother sent them to go and buy a bread. He will show up for the single mothers that are living in the gardens housing and wondering how are they going to make ends meet. He will show up for the construction worker who probably just got laid off and does not know where his next job is coming from. He will show up for the teacher who is using her money to buy chalk because the school said they don't have any chalk. He's going to show up for everyone, the whole length and the whole breadth of the constituency. That is John L. Powell, the man.
Thank you, ladies.
Yeah, well, John L. Powell, what stood out to me, as well as the other candidates, you have to recognize that, as Didi said, in 2015, he was unsuccessful. He still continued his work. In 2020, he was elected. And while there for a year and 11 months, he realized that there were certain things that were not going as they should. And he, like the other PAM candidates that we have, stood up and said, enough is enough. There are things that People's Action Movement, government, and people in St. Kitts and Nevis want to see. And he now is back at the polls in a short time. And there's no guarantee with him or any other candidate, but they took the risk and they came to the people. And that is something that I can support. When you see that times are tough, you realize things aren't going as they should, you take a stance and you stand up against all odds. And that is what he's doing now. And that is why I am encouraging and asking persons to re-elect the Honorable John L. Powell, a man who would fight for you, not just sit down and be cozy. And he could have been cozy, he could have been comfortable, he could have been in parliament now, in government now. But he was one of the individuals who stood up for a better St. Kitts and Nevis. And then that is why I'm asking you to re-elect him on Friday and put him back to serve the people of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you, Mr. Mr. Gums. And the scripture that came to mind recently, which says, "Come out from among them," and I think sometimes you have to heed that call, and perhaps that is the very call that the leaders and other representatives of PAM and the CCM heeded when they took that stand many months ago, which has brought us to this very position. But we are 4 minutes away before the other two candidates, because they too want to make the altar call, if you will, to their constituents about the reasons why they should support them. I want to give you the closing minutes to talk about any other activity or activities that are specific to constituency number 2 that you want your supporters to be aware of.
Okay, well, what I want them to be aware of is today we have our meetup, and it's in Lower Durand Avenue. That's just by the big steps. We're going to have food, drinks, music by Firehouse, music by Street Vibes. So we're going to have a lot of things to do for the children, Bouncing Castle. We're going to have popcorn, cotton candy, you name it.
Dominoes.
Come on out. Come on out and support. Dominoes the game, huh? So come on out and support. We hope to see you there. This is another time for you to touch base with Jonelle. He's going to be there, live in person, representing, and he's waiting to see you all.
Yes, come out and speak to the representative in a relaxed environment, not a stuffy office. Come out and you're able to speak to him, hear his plans. If there are any plans that we did not touch on today, if there are things that you see that there's a need for where you live, just come out and speak to him. It's a relaxed environment. As Twana said, there will be food, there will be drinks. And when you come out, I want you to remember that in 1 year and 11 months, Jonelle has done. In a 5-year full term, all the things that he can do.
And will do.
And will do. So on Friday, August 5th, you just make a nice, neat X in the box next to the hat.
Yeah, I want to say, as the deputy chair of the party, that persons out there, I encourage you to vote for your PAM candidate in every constituency. Friday is upon us. It is a day that we have all anticipated for a while now. The People's Action Movement, I think, has been campaigning longer than any other party here in St. Kitts. We recognize that the message has been out there from since February when we had our anniversary.
Okay.
Yes, when we had our anniversary under the theme of PAM 57, keeping true to our vision. And then we moved from there into our convention, keeping the promise. From our convention, we then had our listening tours. From our listening tours, we then had our public meetings and activities. And we are here now. Many persons have been on the streets. Many persons have been talking to constituents. And I think that Friday presents a very important test for we, the people of St. Kitts and Nevis. It's a test that would be given to us. And I am hoping that the people of St. Kitts and Nevis gives PAM and CCM the opportunity to take St. Kitts and Nevis to a higher level. When you peruse the manifesto of the various parties, you look at the People's Action Movement manifesto, a manifesto that speaks to all people, all persons, speaking about ways in which persons can become empowered. And I think that the People's Action Movement manifesto represents visionary programs, plans, not only for St. Kitts, but St. Kitts and Nevis. What other manifesto speaks or highlights St. Kitts and Nevis in such a way? We have the Premier of Nevis in our manifesto giving a message. We have the political leader of the People's Action Movement giving a message. We are seeing a synchronization of ideas between St. Kitts and Nevis. We are telling the people of St. Kitts and Nevis what exactly to expect from a PAM-CCM government. Many persons feel that no party is going to get the absolute 6 seats to get in there. So why go and gamble to what team would meet that 6? Well, you know for sure that PAM and CCM is presenting a plan to you and would come together to make that 6 or more. So I am urging persons, vote for the hat, vote for the hammer. Because at the end of the day, when you look at the assessment, when you look at the test presented before you, PAM and CCM represent the best hope for St. Kitts and Nevis. It's not just about handouts. It's about giving person a hand up. And that is why I am encouraging persons to come out early, be peaceful, and elect a PAM-CCM government.
One quick question. I'm going to slide down to each of you. On a scale of 1 to 10, Jonel has a good chance of winning the election. What is your number, Gigi?
Wow, I like to follow rules, but I almost said 12. I'm going to keep it at 10.
10? Tawana?
Well, I'm a rule breaker, so I'm going to give him a solid 20. The scale is broken. He has this in the bag.
So there's nothing left for Azad, no, because if the scale is broken, what is he going to do?
All I'm going to say, JP2, get your suit because you're going back to Church Street, working for the people.
Well, give yourselves a round of applause because we're done this hour. And, I am going to miss this program. Today's also the last day. And so I want to thank you guys, but we're going to meet somewhere else. There's a big event at Ben's Corner tomorrow.
Yes, we have our artists. We're going to have local artists, but the international artist is Skinny Fabulous.
The headliner.
Yes, the headliner. And we are asking persons to come out and hear your candidates. You're also going to have some youth speakers there as well. You're
pointing on Tawana. Tawana is speaking?
That secret, maybe it is. And so it's going to be fun filled. And then on Thursday, mega
massive,
the last
humongous
election. And so going to have a fantastic night there in Sandy Point. And I could feel the energy. I'm tired to feel the energy so through my veins.
One thing about that, that'll be dramatic.
Because that night is going to be a night of like no.
They say if you cut us right now, you just see yellow.
Yellow blood.
Yes.
Pouring out our-
Personally, I always like the final rally, if you will, for elections. I remember many years ago in the 80s, me and my, deceased cousin of mine, God bless his soul, Kenrick Clifton, we did all the in those days there were only two parties, and we were able to, it really gives a good temperature of what is going to happen. I remember when we drove around by the other party, the faces were really very dejected. So it really is a good litmus test of how the parties is going to do. So Pam, people really bring that energy on Thursday night.
It has been brought.
I mean, I'm seeing it's going up in decibels. We have to get it to the very top. But I wish us all luck as we go back to canvassing. So, this has been your 1 hour break. Go back and get the job done.
Definitely.
Do all of the tweaking and fine tuning and everything else that needs to be done for that final push. And I wish all of you luck. I'll see you sometime somewhere at the celebration.
Make sure you come to the
Motorcade and the
meetup.
swearing in.
Come to the meetup today.
We're at
Lower.
I don't tweets in Mac
Avenue.
night, eh? Where's that? Give me a map.
Closer to the market.
Okay, because it's a big
There
step.
are 2 steps. The ones that are closest
Okay.
to the market.
There you go. I see you when I leave here.
Okay. Good.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
My absolute pleasure. Don't go. We have the candidates for constituency number 6, Troy Flanders, and constituency number 7, David
Lincoln.
Lincoln, David,
I keep calling him
The
David.
Goliath Slayer. Just call him
I know.
that.
I need to remember that. And then here for the next hour, and we'll try to see if we could sneak in a couple of calls in between before 12 o'clock. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for
you're
having us.
welcome.
Today begins the new future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we look to PAM and CCM to restore stability and continuity of the programs of good governance and prosperity for all. Today, we turn to new leadership and away from a path of destruction and control by one family. From today, we put country above self. Today, we turn to PAM and CCM, who represent the best hope for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Vote PAM and CCM under the trusted leadership of the Honorable Sean Richards.
Together we stand, brothers. Together we
You can't convince me talking negative about my party. Cause I'm damn strong. We're damn strong. Go away with your trickery, your money and your bribery. Cause I'm damn
Welcome back, welcome back. This is the second half of the final edition of the movement. Today is August the 2nd. We are 3 days to go before general elections in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis on Friday, August 5th. Anybody knows when the poll is going to be open? Is it 6 or 7?
I think it's 7, you know.
Okay. You think? What are you telling your electorate, your constituents?
Be there for 6.
Good one. So we're back as we promised. We are with the two candidates from Constituency 6, Troy Flanders, and 7, David
Lincoln.
David Penn. They tell me your first name is David. I keep, every time I call it, I don't think I've ever gotten it right. But anyway, David is part of your name, which is the important part.
That's why I put Pell on it, because every time, what your name is, David Lincoln, because, Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Especially when I travel. So I said, you know what, to reduce the confusion, let me put Pell.
Well, I don't think
but it's still confusing people.
Right. I guess because the two names are Christian names.
Yes.
So, gentlemen, you look a little tired, but it's a good thing to be tired, as candidate Shani said on one of her platform, when she said people ask if she's not tired, and she lists all the reasons why she's tired and why there needs to be a change. So maybe it's a good tired that you are tired. Right. How has it been going? I mean, we are days to go now before an election. Have you seen improvement? Are you fired up? What can you share with the listeners this morning?
Good morning, Skills, and good morning to all the listeners out there. Constituency number 6 representative, the candidate for PAM, Troy Flanders.
Maybe you're speaking it into the future.
I am the representative for constituency number 6. I'm the future.
The future is Friday, the 5th,
I am the future of constituency number 6.
Okay, Troy.
That's what I am, the future.
Amen.
Yeah. And the campaign is going good, I actually enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoy going out and meet people. Some people I meet for the first time, share the stories, and so it's very good.
What are people saying, though? The thing is, you're truly in a tough constituency where people seem to enjoy having the same thing, nothing has changed, and perhaps sometimes people say, why does PAM even bother? Why does PAM even bother with that constituency? What gives you inspiration? And I know that you're a people person. I've met you maybe about 5 years ago, and each time you speak, Troy, I could sense some strong passion. You speak from your loins. Yeah. That much I can say about you, and so it must be tough. But what inspires you as you go canvassing in constituency number 6, a seat that has never been won? There are only 2 seats that have never been won by PAM, and that is one of those seats.
Yeah. What drives me is that when I hear the cries of the people in constituency 6, it drives me to go about and try to bring about change for them. Because, sometimes people might say, well, constituency is tough. It is tough. But we could win it. It's something, if we continue working on it. Mm-hmm. And as a farmer, you never have a harvest unless you sow seed.
That's right.
So I'm sowing the seed, mm-hmm. and actually seeing germination. So it's just a matter of nurturing that seed, that plant until I'm ready to eat the fruit.
What a beautiful analogy. What a beautiful analogy, Farmer Troy.
And that is right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
There's no harvesting before you plant the seed.
Right.
Lincoln.
Yes, ma'am.
Same for you, except that a few election cycles ago, there was a glimmer of hope when Pam won that seat. I think it was twice, in the 80s. So obviously you have a good base, and I know that some of the flock has wandered away. How are you bringing them back home?
Well, I must say good morning to you.
And David was the shepherd.
Yes, ma'am. And I just want to say greet everyone with the peace of Jesus Christ. And I want us to conduct ourselves peacefully. Now, appearance is one thing, but reality is another. I'm going through my constituency and speaking with persons and getting their feedback. I have won over persons who were PAM and went, new voters, even undecided, and persons who are with Labour and with PLP. Now, I want to remind persons, PLP just started a few months ago. And if persons are talking about what PLP would have done, they would have just started a couple of months ago, because before that, it was just a team unity government. So therefore, anything done on a team unity would have done with the three parties that were part of it.
Good
So
point.
I just want to remind persons of that.
Mm-hmm.
And in my constituency, from the neglect that have happened over the years, and I'm not talking about 5 years, I'm talking about over 27 years. And I'm saying, what I've seen, I have the remedy for it. Just like with any competition, you have to be prepared. I prepared from Boy Scout right up even to my martial arts. Even in policing, I had training in all of these things. But most importantly, just as David in the Bible, I'm prepared for the task.
Mm-hmm.
And with God preparing me, I know this battle is mine, the victory is mine, I have seen it, and even my opponents, even the gentleman who you speak of, that is a tough fight, he is now working hard to win back. But you know what? We as nationals of St. Kitts and Nevis, we have to remember, one question I'm going to ask right now. How many of you have relatives overseas, born overseas, and when they come for citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis, had a problem? And look at the present situation now and see how easy it is for a person who are not even sure of. Do you want that? Are you appreciated? Are you really comfortable with that? That's a question for us to ask, because that can determine certain things. But with God involved, wickedness and evil will not prevail over good, because it is wicked, it is evil, and it is wrong. If I'm playing marbles or cards with someone, you wouldn't say they're outsmarting you if they're going against the rules of the game. You say they're cheating. And that is what is happening here. And we should acknowledge it and say enough is enough, and it shouldn't happen. And that person should be rewarded by not voting for him. And that's a fact. And that's what should happen. Mm-hmm. It is not correct. It is not right. It is evil. And we should accept it and call it for what it is. It is evil. Because if we reverse it, I do not know if it might happen for those places. So we should accept it.
But Lincoln, give us some more specifics, because you're assuming that our listeners know what it is you're talking about.
I'm sorry, my humble apologies.
I might even be lost myself.
I'm talking about what has been said and certain things I have seen where foreigners, especially from a few countries, the DR, which is the Dominican Republic, and Haiti and so on, these places. Now, if they come legally, I have no problem, because our constitution is legally. But if it is done illegally and based on what I'm seeing.
But there's also a timeline that the Constitution recommends, so you couldn't just come and register and get your name on the list.
Right. So if all these things is done illegally, it is evil. It is wrong. Now, I am for legal stuff, and as long as it is done legal, I have no problem with it. But if it is done illegally, then all of us should have a problem. And we welcome everyone. We welcome everyone legally in our country. And according to the Constitution, the time that is given for them to participate, they should be given. But it speaks about OECS nationals. So OECS nationals do not feel as if a favor is given to you. Because the agreement is, from the time you're from an OECS country, you could come here just as if you're national of St. Kitts and Nevis. You're a resident. For CARICOM citizens, it's the same way, same thing. But there's a difference with CARICOM citizens. If you are a graduate and all skilled person and so forth, it speaks of what to be done.
Yeah.
So do not be sidetracked by saying, I'm helping, when it is not. The Constitution make it clear for you. Persons who are not a part of, and then they speak to Commonwealth citizens, so therefore Canadians could come here, the UK persons could come here, Australians could come here, even Indians could come here and meet certain requirements.
Yeah.
If you're out of those things, you have a problem. It is much tougher. Even the Guyanese, they're part of CARICOM. So, these things we have to look at. So, as long as they're here legally.
So we've been hearing the chatter, and I'm glad that you segued to that very early. But we've been hearing the talk, we've been seeing videos and seeing, a lot of stuff that have been circulating in social media that is causing us to pause and wonder. And there's not yet a strong outcry about it. I don't know when there's going to be. But is it also impacting your constituency number 7, as far as you are aware?
I haven't seen it, and there's no note of it. All I know is there are certain constituencies, especially I think is 1, 2, and 3. Mm-hmm. But however, it is impacting negatively on our democratic process, as long as it's done illegally.
The possibility of the outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
So all I'm doing at this time, I just want to call on all my constituents to vote PAM on that day. And as long as you're here legally in this country from wherever you come from, you don't have no need to fear. And I know some countries get some blows, as we should say. But you know what? We have to recognize the Guyanese are part of CARICOM. Sometimes they get a hard licks for that. And they're part of CARICOM, and as long as they're here and make the time, then there's certain things. And there's certain, I can recall certain, let's say, for example, the DR originally are part of CARICOM. We'll take them in, and the system is different. So what I'm saying, why beat our fellow CARICOM citizens like that? As long as they meet the legal requirement according to law, it should be, because I know we have persons here from our CARICOM states for years, and they're not given citizenship as easy. And if people who are not a part of CARICOM come and get it, then something is wrong. We should revisit our constitution and see, and the laws, and see, and for those things that I would say. But at the end of the day, all persons foreign, as long as you're here and you're a citizen, you're no longer a foreigner, you're a citizen of St. Kitts and Nevis. And you have a right to vote. And if you have a vote, you should have a problem with person who want to overstep you as well to do that and do it illegally, because you're here long before them and you came here legally. So you should have a voice as well and denounce it and vote for the right party, which is the People's Action Movement, because you came here legally, you did your time, you get what you're supposed to get, and somebody want to now come from the back of, not even from the bottom, the back of the line, from nowhere, and want to come ahead of you. That is not fair. It is unjust and it is evil. So even you, I'm calling on to let your voice be heard, to say you had to do your time to enter the process, and persons should go to the same thing. So come out, everyone, vote PAM, vote CCM. We have a victory to win. And I'm saying, in Constituency 7, I just want to thank you very much for the support, for coming back to PAM. And for those of you who are independent and first time, for joining PAM, giving PAM the vote. Even those of you who are Labour and see the wrong, to come and vote for PAM. Those of you who are PLP and see the wrong, come and vote for PAM. And most importantly, we have a Christian-based society. Let us sound our voice loud and clear and let it know it is evil, it is wrong, it is unjust, and it shouldn't happen. Let our election run fairly.
Thank you. I see your fellow candidate Troy is itching to weigh in somewhere along the line. Yeah. So, Troy?
No, I was just going to say that the People's Action Movement is not against immigrants. As a matter of fact, as you said, the Guyanese and the Jamaicans, those people from Santo Domingo, is under PAM is when they start coming to St. Kitts, you see? So we ain't against them. As a matter of fact, I believe that PAM probably lost an election because of the Guyanese, because, I mean, the now Prime Minister used to be on the Labour platform saying, you pay the locals more money, bring in less Guyanese. That was in terms of the sugar industry. And things like that, the local people then start to get against the Guyanese. It was the PAM party who first bring the Guyanese them here to cut cane. So we ain't against the Guyanese and the Jamaicans, because the Jamaicans come here with the Matalan Company to do Port Zante. That's when the Jamaicans start coming to St. Kitts. So it's under PAM. We are not against them.
Okay, so yeah, I thank you for weighing in on that, because it is a very troubling, if not vexing issue that many of us, many people are discussing privately and openly, and I don't think it bodes well for this line that we like to say, elections that are free from fear and free of fear. So, but let's swing back now, because they say all politics is local. And so I want you, Troy, to tell me, as you go about canvassing, what are the specifics now that election is nearer, now that we're seeing the finish line? What specifically are your people saying to you? I mean, we've beaten to death the whole thing about housing. So outside of that, what are the needs of your constituency? Has the National Bank been renovated yet? I mean, do people still have to? Do your people in Constituency 6 still have to journey to Bass State to do their banking business? What community projects are they looking forward to you implementing as their hopeful representative?
Ms. Gaines, thanks for the question. The National Bank, as we speak, is 14 years since it's closed.
14 years already?
14 years since it closed. And I think about 3 years now, the ATM ain't working.
Wow.
Yeah, so the National
But
Bank...
since you've started your canvassing, is this something you have brought to the attention of the management in National Bank?
No, I never did that. But the ATM, because I don't really use the ATM, I learn of that during canvassing, right? But the bank, I always speak about the bank. Town hall after town hall, I speak about the bank. That is one the vexing issue for me.
So is that something that your party would give a commitment to have done?
To fix the bank?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our political leader, the Honorable Sharon Richards, soon to be the next Prime Minister. He knows where I stand with the bank. And I know Sharon Richards as somebody who will keep his promise. He'll keep his promise. That's Sharon Richards that I know, right? And as I go through Constituency 6, we have a large number of farmers in Constituency number 6. And I actually just tell people I'm a representative for the farmers, right? Some people call me a politician, but I say, no, I'm a representative for the farmers. And I realize that the farmers, them, right now, they are actually fighting against the Ministry of Agriculture. The Ministry of Agriculture actually waging a war against certain farmers. I will say this. If you are not singing the tune for the Prime Minister, you actually will be victimized as a farmer. There are things up there they're giving away at the Agriculture Department. What's the criteria for the assistance? There's no criteria but say, you with the Prime Minister. There are good farmers out there, some of the best producers out there. They cannot receive no assistance. None at all. And I had a meeting with the PS of Agriculture. And I asked him that same question, what's the criteria for assistance? He said, as long as you are registered farmers, you're entitled to whatever assistance. But then I said, this is a list of farmers. These are some of the best producing farmers in St. Kitts. But yet, they are unable to get assistance. And this thing is really paining, because when you go to the department itself, the staff up there are so demoralized. They actually just show up to work because he's working there. You have people in the system who have subjects and they're just pushed aside. They're just pushed aside and they're doing the sector no good. There were people who could help the sector and move the sector, but they are pushed aside because something about them and the PS. And these are things that we have to vote against.
So those internal ramblings are really affecting the end user who are the farmers.
The farmers, yeah. And you find it's not something that farmers actually looking forward to. Some people at this, as we speak now, some farmers actually pack up.
How do you mean pack up?
They're not farming because it's difficult to farm around this time. And the legal assistance you might get from the department, you're not getting it. So some people say, well, I will just wait till the planting season come to start planting. So, but the programs and plans that we have, the People's Action Movement have for farmers, that's one thing that kept me going out there every day. Every day. When I speak to the political leader and I tell him, Mr. Leader, in order for the farmers to farm in April and March, they need water. That's a must. We have to get water to them. When you plant your cucumbers and them, they ain't gonna dead because we're gonna get water. You could put peppers. You could get them all year round. And actually said, Mr. Leader, we got to get young people more involved in farming. That's why we're talking about the community greenhouse program. This project that we could go around in the community and put down greenhouses for the community use. And then you like peppers and all them there, you grow them things in the tomatoes and so could grow there. And that will provide much protection from the environment for certain crops. And then we talk about putting agriculture back in the schools. In Nevis, they have a program going on with greenhouses at the primary school. Why can't it happen in St. Kitts? It's working in Nevis. Why can't it done in St. Kitts? This is a program already proven that it could work. So we could just adapt it from Nevis and apply it down here.
So the greenhouses are set up and there are plants and the children water and maybe pull the weeds. Well, there wouldn't be a lot of weeds if there's a greenhouse.
Greenhouse, no.
So the water and perhaps maybe administer fertilizer and then they reap the crops. So at the primary schools?
At the primary school. As a matter of fact, you get them all excited about agriculture. So you will be breeding out the next generation of farmers.
Yeah.
So these are things that we want to see happen.
You know what, Troy? Truthfully, I get disappointed. Citizen Laverne, that is, not the host of the show. Yeah. Citizen Laverne. I truly get disappointed with the whole plan and policy in relation to agriculture for the last several years. Yeah. I don't think it is forward thinking. I don't think we are serious about it. And the funny thing is that one of the candidates on PAM's platform many years ago proposed an idea, and I don't know how workable it would have been. Maybe it would have needed, to be fleshed out further. But the suggestion was to maintain the estate system to the extent where each estate would grow a different produce. So maybe Brooks grew sweet potatoes and farms grew tanya and somebody else grew something else. And then we would have, been able to export perhaps. But I just think that we have lost our way in agriculture, if you ask me. And I'm not impressed that successive governments over the last number of years really have shown any serious interest in agriculture. I mean, we had a sugarcane industry that was thriving, that sent most of us we were brought up from the proceeds of sugarcane. And I know people said that, sugar was hard, back-breaking work, cutting the sun, cutting the cane. My father was a cane cutter. And let me tell you something. Sometime when my father came home after leaving home 6 o'clock in the morning and coming back home at 6 o'clock in the night, even his boots used to be filled with water, with sweat. Yeah. He could have literally turned over his boots and it was filled with water. So we've gone past the hard labor in agriculture. I mean, there's so many new ways to do agriculture, and yet we are still not seeing these new ways implemented and deployed in our agriculture industry to make it worth it. And so I see the pain on your face when you talk about these things, and I really hope that there's a different thrust in a new direction to make agriculture more sustainable and really not just a talking point. It has been too long a talking point in political manifestos and in governments.
Ms. Keynes, election do have consequences, because if you look at the legacy of the People's Action Movement, it's in my constituency that they had planned to set up the agriculture program. You find that they paved the roads in Fies, that's in Newton Ground.
Yes.
And they paved the roads in Harris's, that's the further end, right up to the mountain, Harris's, Sadlers, and Fye. That was part of the agricultural program. But because of the change of government, we got to look at it. We cannot exclude the 20 years of labor, because labor coming for 20 years, they closed the sugar industry in 2005, right? They closed the industry. They lost power in 2015. So they had 10 years of non-sugar to develop the agriculture, but no land use, nothing they did. Absolutely nothing was done for agriculture. They had all the good lands.
Yeah.
They could have made a big difference in agriculture. So we got to be careful. St. Kitts and Nevis have to be careful. We got to take a serious look at the parties and what they are offering, and take a look at their record.
But with all I think CXIG is a double credit for agricultural science, right? Yeah. And we have so many young people who are doing that, who are doing that subject, and I guess to get the double award. But I keep telling people, what I'm not seeing is the translation of these young people back in the sector, because clearly I don't think that the areas of that study, I don't think the curriculum for that study is about manual labor anymore. And I think we've gone beyond that now. And so you would think that with all of these bright young people who are studying agriculture science in school, you would see a translation of their resources in the sector, but you're not seeing it, and so I guess we are almost at a point where we're marking time, but I hope that with your involvement in the new government, we would definitely see a difference. We're going to take a break now, and we are going to come back with more discussion on the movement. We're talking this morning on the final edition of the movement with Lincoln David Pell and Troy Flanders, representatives or rather candidates of constituencies number 7 and 6 respectively. We'll come right back after this word from the studio.
Today begins the new future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Today, we look to PAM and CCM to restore stability and continuity of the programs of good governance and prosperity for all. Today, we turn to new leadership and away from a path of destruction and control by one family. From today, we put country above self. Today, we turn to PAM and CCM, who represent the best hope for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis. Vote PAM and CCM under the trusted leadership of the Honorable Sean Richards.
Together we stand, brothers. Together we
You can convince me talking negative about my party, 'cause I'm damn strong. We're damn strong. Go away with your trickery, your money and your bribery, 'cause I'm damn strong. We're damn strong. Ungratefulness is worse than witchcraft. Come election day and see who get the last laugh. When the party's stalwart, show you the real palm from we heart. Voting PAM, voting PAM. Let's for the country then and now. Voting PAM, voting PAM. No way you can beat us, no how. Voting PAM, voting.
Welcome back, everyone. We are on the movement on WINN FM. This is a program that is sponsored by the People's Action Movement, one of the main parties that is vying for political office in the general elections of August 5th, which is just days away. We were talking just now about agriculture with a very passionate Troy Flanders, and I also had to lend my passion to that subject matter that has been, I guess, to use an agriculture term, has been laying fallow for many years, because so much more could be done and so much is spoken of that is not being done. And so we are hopeful that our candidate Troy, when he gets the opportunity in government, would turn things around with all of this passion that he just shared with us. But I want us to swing back to constituency number 7.
Yes.
And I want to engage Lincoln David Pell, the candidate representing the People's Action Movement in that constituency. Now, there was a lot of discussion. In fact, a significant amount of the discussion for this political season was about the building of the prison in your constituency. Is that something? Have you physically gone and seen it in recent times? Because it has made the rounds in the cycle of election. What are the people in your constituency also saying about that issue?
Well, I have seen it, and there's some persons who are concerned and said the money could have gone to do something differently. For me, I'm looking at my constituency. It could have gone to help small business owners. It could have gone to invest in the primary school in Molyneux.
Which was burned down.
Which is burned.
It hasn't started rebuilding it?
I haven't seen any work being done there.
So what is going to happen in September?
Well, in September, from next week, because I will be the representative, I will touch base with my new Prime Minister, Sean Richards, to start. I will go in and look carefully to see what needs to be done. Because it's a concrete structure, so therefore, you might need a few washing off, painting off, and I think we will be able to get it done for September to get our students back inside there. Then also, that money could have gone and Hopefully, we'll be able to get it done. Throughout the constituency, we have the schools. Let's say, for example, in Tabernacle schools, the proper fencing to prevent children from running out in the road or, things like that. Also, the playing fields. I will want as soon as possible. I know we like to talk about 90 days, but I want as soon as possible. So from Friday when I'm get elected, from next week I want to go on the ground, talk with the contractors and so forth, and start looking at the playing fields, especially down in Atlas Village, because the students from Lodge via Petty Primary School, they got on there to play, but there's no restrooms and no facility. And we have young girls. Some person says, okay, the boys could do whatever, but we have young girls. But most importantly, it's a health thing. So those ways should go where they're supposed to go to make the health thing stay where they're supposed to be. So I want to work on those as soon as possible. And because I'm talking about economic development in my constituency, that money could have gone to help persons who have a dream, who have a business idea, to get those things on the ground. Because I want to let all of us know in St. Kitts and Nevis, even those persons who are here legally in our nations, to know St. Kitts and Nevis has a dream to develop our country economically. Because you came here saying you want something better and even to make here a place to live. So we want you as well, everyone who are here, to make sure they contribute to our country economically. Start your own business. But because I'm in my constituency and you asked me the question about my constituency, I would have spoken to as many of my constituents as I can. That is my dream. That is what I want, to make them not come and ask me for something. Because I give you $1 million now, if you do not use it wisely, you're going to finish. But if I help you to start a business, your dream, and you're making $500,000 a month, you realize how much you can save. You realize how much you can actually start for you and your children and your children's children. The Bible said 2 generations. And that's what I'm talking about, economic development for our constituency, and most likely it will spread throughout our Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Do you have an idea of what the unemployment figures might be in your constituency as you do your canvassing?
I do not have the exact figure, but I could see among the let's say in the 20s, early 20s, mid 20s, you have a lot more of those persons who may not be full time, and a lot of them on the path. But to be honest with you, areas like Large Atlas, we are very industrial. So a lot of persons in that area working. Molyneux, because it's bigger, it's kind of mixed. In Tabernacle, same, but in that constituency in particular, the persons are very industrious, so they go out to work. But over the years...
Well, it's not about going out to work. It's about whether or not there's employment for them. And so my reason for asking you that question is, how are you dealing with folks who are saying, look, because everybody these days seem to want to trade their vote. I am voting because I want something. Well, except me, I don't know. Maybe I need to think about what I want before Friday. I'm gonna think about it very strongly. But I'm thinking that if in your canvassing you come across these young people who are saying, look, me, I'm 20, I'm 25, I left school 7 years now and I still can't find a proper job. Or maybe they would have lost their job since COVID. They're underemployed. I hope that you're directing them to Pam's Dream Fund.
Right. I do that every day. And the same thing I spoke about earlier, about their dream. I always ask, what is your dream? And what is the idea you have to make a living for yourself? And what is your skill? I said, when they tell me, I said, okay, we are the best party for you at this time. I am the best candidate for you at this time, because my political leader, who is Sean Keviches, the next Prime Minister, and the entire PAM CCM government, we have a dream fund of $100 million to help with either expanding a small business, a medium-sized business, or help to create a business for you. Because at the end of the day, small businesses are very important to economies. I'm sure you could remember back in 83, 95, before Pam lost the power, we had a lot of small businesses.
Of the economy.
Yeah, we had a lot of small businesses. And unfortunately, I do not know what happened. Under Labour, they just disappeared. and I want our people to understand that. Small businesses help. And I'm going to give an example here. I had a business as an accounting app, and it was giving me a problem. I called the place. They said, okay, come to us because there's a defect in it. I went to the place. A young man came to me and asked me, May I help you? I said, yes, sir. I have a problem with this app. He said, oh, I'm the one who created the app. I said, really, you? I said, well, look, I'm not telling you to finish where you're working, but I want you to use that to either start a business or get
This
clients.
is a local person?
Local person. And we spoke, and I told him, well, look, I just want you to do that, because when I hear young person, or anybody at all in business, I get excited.
Yes.
So I told him, in the next 2 years, when I see you, I want you to tell me you either have a business or have a client. About a year after I hear this person, sir, and he tapped me on my shoulder. You remember me? I said, yes. He said, I have good news for you. I said, what happened? You get a raise? No. You get a promotion? No. What happened? He said, I'm just coming back from Antigua from 2 clients. I said, thank you very much. I said, he listened to me. Then I want to go on again. So you should see what happened here. He moved on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I told him, do not move from the place where you are, your thing. For me, if you come from overseas, you could be here studying and you have a degree. Yes, it's good to go to work for government, Hosford, TDC, Rams, and all these other companies. But you know what? If persons never think of starting another, our economy will not be growing. And that is what I'm talking about, economic development in my constituency. I want economy in my constituency to grow so much that every small business now appears and will be medium-sized business to employ persons in our community. And if we get that done, you see how prosperous our constituency could be, and that trickle across the entire federation. You see how prosperous our federation can be.
Well, I hope they're getting ready, and I hope you're challenging them to get their plans ready, because, I saw a discussion on Facebook a few days ago, and it came, well, the thread in the discussion came out of a statement that somebody had posted, basically saying that, some of the manifesto promises are weak, whatever. And interestingly, most of the discussion was centered on Pam's manifesto. And I was just, observing and reading this thread, and I said to a particular person who said that the only thing that caught his attention was Pam's Dream Fund. And I said, well, why are you not comparing it to other manifesto promises in the other party's manifesto? I'm not sure if that person ever responded, but I find that to be very interesting. But I want to go over to Troy now, because I want to ask him the same question about what the young people in your constituency are saying with respect to employment opportunities. Because surely since COVID, I think our unemployment numbers have probably increased. And obviously, as a politician who is asking people for support, they're going to ask you, well, what is in it for them? And that is a question that young people often like to ask. So as it relates to employment in constituency number 6, Troy, what is some of the feedback that you're getting from young voters?
Constituency number 6. Let's take Passingong, right? Passingong have a large population of youth, and most of them is either unemployed or underemployed. You go to Sadlers, you find 3 generations is on the step.
3 generations?
3 generations.
Wow.
This is what's going on across constituency number 6. And, people feel like this is the way it's supposed to be. When I tell them, before I grew up with Sadlers, when they had the sugar industry, it used to be 4 and 5 tractor with double cart carrying people to cut the cane, and that reduced to 1. Because there were so many jobs when cable and wireless and all them come, and people start to do construction, and so much jobs come that people actually had to move into St. Kitts to fill these jobs. So the Labour Party is what happened to St. Kitts and Nevis. And if we follow the Labour Party, we realize, if you look for the last 20 years, there haven't been one program that they put in place to move this economy forward. And if you look at the current Prime Minister, who is in Parliament for 29 years, if he could point me to one policy he single-handedly put together, I will applaud him. Because they have none. They have no ideas. They just think about tax and spend. That's the policy of the Labour Party, tax and spend. And that is what crippled the small businesses. I'm a small business owner also. So I got to be very careful how I do things.
So it's interesting that statistic that you shared about 3 generations being on, that one of those social welfare programs, and so the question is, when you speak with people like these, are they satisfied that is what they want? Do they want more? Are they asking you about employment opportunities? Did you refer to them about Pam's
Dream Fund?
Fund?
Yes. And you find I talked to a couple of young persons about it, and one young lady in my constituency tell me, "Try, that is just exactly what I want," because she have this big dream. I said, "Dream big. Let the sky be your limit. Dream as big as you want." She says she want to see this kind of mall that she want to own and offer service to other people who want to do business, because the rent in town is too high. I talked to other gentleman who tell me that he want to put a laundry in Sadler's. I said, "Why? We have this thing, the PAM have this thing for you. This is where we're going." And now I start to see a Constituency 6 where business activity taking place. I'm sorry for you guys in Sunny Point, I know you all feel like...
I'm not from Sandy Point anymore.
But
well, I cannot be from Sandy Point. That's a joke.
I am going to make Sadler's one of the heartbeat, the business place in St. Kitts. Constituency 6. I looking at Dep Bay, where I could see activity taking place with fresh produce leaving there, going to the neighbor islands, and so, I want it to be a business hub, thing going on, economic hub, booming. Yeah. That's my vision for that area.
And as well, Lavon, Molineux has that name, the inner city. And when I'm walking through that area, I'm telling people I want to make Molineux, yes, a real inner city with all those things. But just like how the other countries could boast of about how many cities or how many towns they have, why can't St. Kitts and Nevis boast of how many towns or how many new towns they have? We can turn Molineux into a new town because of the economic plan that we have. I've been through, like Troy, in Constituency number 7, I met some young ladies and they said, "I'm so glad you talk about, I have a dream in doing this." I said, "Well, vote for me." And that is why throughout my constituency I'm saying, vote for Pam, vote for Lincoln David Pell, because our thing is about economic development. And if you have economic persons, what happens? You could also have healthy people. Because if you're underemployed, that means you're not being nourished properly. And this is where the farmers come in. We eat our foods. So therefore, with a strong economic society, we could have good health practices going on there, because you have to be healthy to work. And sometimes the stresses of not being working or underemployed, it put a toll on your body and make you not eating the way you should. And we have all kind of illness. So with a healthy, strong economic foundation in my constituency and to the entire nation as a whole, we can be able to be on the path of reducing our health bill.
As I said in the last program, yes, I hear Mark of CCM, the leader of CCM, about fair share for Nevis, but as citizens, we all deserve our fair share. Our fair share opportunities, our fair share at developing our personal lives and our business lives and our professional lives. And really, at the center of this fair share is government as an enabler.
That's what it is.
The young people just said earlier on before they left that clearly, government can't employ everybody. In fact, the civil service in its current state might not be saturated. And there has been a long discussion, year-long discussion, many years ago about civil service reform, that perhaps when it is activated, may see a restructuring of the civil service and a modernizing of the civil service. So clearly, when that happens and people are looking towards the opportunities, then there is Pam's Dream Fund.
And that is very important, because if you look, even in those bigger countries, they speak about job creation. And throughout my constituency, I'm asking for the young persons who are in IT. Because I want us, I don't know where it might be, but I say in my constituency, I want to maybe make Molineux, because like I say, the city, the inner city, IT hub. So when I go through my constituency, I'm asking for persons, so are you into IT? Because I know these days a lot of young persons.
Yeah.
I don't care how you look, I don't care how you talk. I know our young persons are exposed to the IT. So I'm asking them, are you into IT? Some of them say yes, but I say, I want you.
Is there a community center in Molineux?
There is
Where's the community center in constituency number 7?
We have one in Lodge.
Because wherever that community center is, I'm telling you now that it has been outfitted with Wi-Fi. So I hear you, and I like the talk about pushing our young people in the direction of IT, because really that's where the money is now. All kind of apps and games and all sorts of things. They're probably now there are now even apps for farmers, so they know when to apply fertilizer, when to reap, when to sow, when to all kind of things. Here's the problem: our community centers continue to remain closed, locked, sealed, sealed.
I have a plan for
So
that.
I want both of you to be the ones to say, look, we need to free up these community centers and allow those same young people you've been talking about since you've been here for the last hour, to allow them access to these community centers. Because how could they monetize all of this talent without having access to good Wi-Fi, sitting in a room where they can I guess just be themselves, be young people.
Well, to be honest, Laverne, there's a section over Molyneux where they're now going on Borough Range, where they have a eatery thing down there. I will talk to our next Prime Minister, Sean K. Richards, because if the land is public lands, whether we let it be a public building or whatever, I want to build a structure there. So those persons could be indoor as well when they're selling. But at the end of all of it is to have something inside there where persons could go in and be creative. Even the United States have something like that. Persons who are very good at IT, they pull them aside and put them somewhere and let them develop themselves. And that's what I want, because I believe we have people here in St. Kitts to come up with something to rival Facebook, to rival all those, even WhatsApp, because there are persons who can do it here. But what happened? The financing, and because of the $100 million fund for economic development, we will get it. And I'm also calling on our wealthy persons in our country. You ever watch Dragons Den?
Yeah.
And what the next one? We have investors,
when
persons
they pitch,
coming.
you're going to pitch your plan to a panel of
So
people.
I'm asking also for our wealthy persons to reinvest and invest in our young persons, because you know what? Government cannot do everything, and you will be a part owner in that business based on how you do it. Yeah. If you watch Dragon then and the other one, you will see how they do it. And therefore, let us spur our young persons into development and develop our country. And you as well with those investments. When you invest your money, you get a return on it. So you will continue to be getting. So I'm just talking about economic development, development, jobs, and advancement for our country.
Good, and it's a good talk. At least it's not a talk about come for $500.
And no,
because
it's not.
$500 would finish.
But of course.
But we have just about 4 minutes. I didn't allow calls because I know calls could be a little bit distracting, and you were here earlier on in an early edition, and you did field calls. But I want to allow you 2 minutes each to wrap up and to give your final push to the persons who are listening about why they really should make you the choice amongst all amongst the other two candidates that are running in your constituency, because it comes down to choice now, and people need a reason. And I think you've given solid reasons here already, but we're on the home stretch. And sometimes when you're in a classroom, it's that final thing that the teacher says that sticks. So I'm going to allow you to speak into that microphone and give your constituents every reason why you ought to be the choice for the next election on August 5th, starting with Troy.
Constituency 6. Going around, I ask most persons if they are satisfied with the representation that they are getting. And 90% of them say no. So I asking them, well, if you are not satisfied, give me a chance to represent you. And then, you look at it, you have a representative for 33 years that are not representing you properly. You give me a chance. What will 5 years do? What will 5 years kill you? I don't think so. Give me 5 years and let me own the rest. Okay? If you look at Newton Ground, they asking for a community center, Ms. Gaines, as you were talking about the community center. I don't just want to build a social center in Newton Ground, in Saddlers, in Deep Bay. I don't just want to build a social center. I want them to be utilized also. That's where the skill training come in. Because, I'm a contractor too. And I know we are lack of skilled workers. And I want to see skill training and going across St. Kitts, the whole better St. Kitts. I want us to start to export skills. That's my dream for St. Kitts. And you look at Parsons, a very tiny village with a large population. And most of them are youth. They have a playing facility down there, which for years and years I keep making noise about it. And nobody himself listening to the cry of the people in Parsons. But within me, they have somebody who will work for them and speak on their behalf. I will continue to make noise and agitate till it is done. The National Bank, which serve from Constituency 7, go right down to Newton Ground. I will agitate until it is open. You have a fighter in Trial Flanders, and you have somebody who you will see after August the 5th. You could guarantee that you will see Trial Flanders after August the 5th. I won't go nowhere to hide. I will be right there to take your calls and to listen to you. I will be right there. I ain't going nowhere. You are my people. I'm one of you.
Thank you, Troy. I think you have woken up finally. You came in looking a little tired. I think this 1 hour has been your coffee. Well done. And David, in wrapping up, what is the message you want to leave with your constituents?
Our constituency have been neglected. I will ensure that community centers, modern community centers, are erected in even Bellevue, Tabernacle, Mansion and Christchurch can share, and in Molyneux, Phillips, and Bovio can share, because these are close but they're just small. Large outlets have theirs, and they will be modernized with everything, all the modern things you could think about. And also,
but please don't build any more community centers to close them down.
No, because I have a program where
First
they will
open those that have been closed for the last 15 years, and then when that model works, then build more.
They will be managed by a management team, not by someone who have the key. And therefore, daily there will be someone inside it to manage the centers, to make sure persons come in to do what they're supposed to do. Also, I would just like to say one thing. In 2013, myself, my brother, myself, and 2 other persons, we decided we're going to recognize all the farmer sugarcane workers from Bovio to Brighton. That is our large area. And our present representative, who is the Prime Minister, we went to him personally and asked for assistance. We didn't get any. Because that was the time when they were talking about farmer sugarcane workers a lot. We also went to the government, which was the Labour government then. We got nothing. We get the money from by ourselves, we raise funds, and we recognize every single worker, farmer sugarcane worker, from Bovio to Brighton, right there in Large Great Estate. So imagine then, and that is why I'm saying vote for me, vote for Pam. Because even without being in politics, I was able to do that. Imagine what I could do when I reach into politics. We'll be able to do things for on a larger scale, for more people. So I am saying to you, I am the better of the best.
The best.
I'm the best of the 3. And Pam is the best of the 3. So on the 5th of August, give me your vote, give Pam your vote to let us continue what I did back in 2014 with the farmer sugarcane workers, and to continue helping persons, all what I mentioned about helping someone to get his dream. And he came back and he said he has clients in Antigua. I am asking you to give me your vote. Giving you $500 can be dangerous. If I give you $500, no problem, easy come, easy goes. You come back and you ask me, I could tell you if you want an extra $500, $1,000 now, move that stone from there to there. You come back again because you're dependent on me. Move. You see that gentleman down there? He didn't talk to me good enough. I want you to go and do something for me, and I will give you $1 million this time. You see what's happening? I am causing you to do wrong things and evil things because you're now dependent on me. Look around, look at movies, you see who use those kind of tactics. I'm not going to go into names because persons who watch types of movies will see who do those kind of things. So all I'm saying, do not be dependent on anyone. If we are an independent country, then let us be independent persons as well. And therefore, I'm asking for your vote. Let us have dreams. St. Kitts and Nevis has a big dream, just like the United States, and even better. All of us can prosper. And I'm saying our brothers and sisters who came from the CARICOM countries, down in the south as far as Guyana, and up in the north, beyond Jamaica, and even Commonwealth countries, You are here, you're living here, you're citizens, you're residents. Here is your home. You have just the same right to start your own business. So I'm saying to all the persons in St. Kitts and Nevis to vote PAM, vote CCM. And in my constituency, I am the best choice. So vote for me on that day and you will get a representation you will never ever think about, because it's a representation with change, and I'm bringing change in the whole thing. You help me to help us to do the work. You hear what I said? You help me to help us to do the work. It is a us thing. It's a team thing.
Amen.
God bless you all. God bless St. Kitts and Nevis. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and best wishes to you. I know it is your first foray into politics. I personally don't like competition. I wish you all well. I hope that you have done enough work to at least get rewarded for your work. The Bible speaks about that. And so I wish you well. And, Troy just said that even after this is done, his constituents will still see him. I hope your pledge is to see him as well.
Exactly the
Because
same.
people often think that politicians go missing after election. And so I wish you all the best. I think the people will still see you around tomorrow at Baker's Corner, Thursday in Sandy Point. I guess you're going back to your respective constituency now to do some work.
Yes.
Godspeed. All the best to both of you.
Thank you
you so much for joining me this morning.
Thanks for the time.
All right.
And that's a wrap. We'll see you again in the next election cycle, perhaps, on another edition of The Movement.
Oh, man,
God bless everyone, and we'll see you again sometime soon. Remember to exercise your franchise on August 5th. It is a franchise that was long fought for. It is something that defines us as a people. It is a right that you have, and please use it wisely.
Vote PAM.
See you again sometime soon. God bless.
There's hope for the future.
Sunday and see